where you kind of need to turn your life around quick. Hey everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Chanel if you are new. And in today's video, I'll be sharing with you guys my career journey on being a medical assistant for over 7 years. In this video, I'm going to share with you guys how I worked my way up into management, what my process was like. Is it worth even investing your time and money in being a medical assistant and going to school? And then also some tips and tricks on how you can, I would say, just elevate with just your certificate. You don't have to go to college to have a degree. I became a medical assistant in 2017. I went to a 9 month long program. Within the 9 months, we did do our clinicals as well. So, clinicals, as I remember, was about like 2 months. So, basically, that's when you finish all your courses and then you actually could get some hands on experience. When my first job as a medical assistant was actually in family medicine, which I highly recommend starting out in like a family practice. I believe that you get a lot more experience than starting out in a specialty office. So a specialty office is like OBGYN, pediatrics, like an office that only specializes in like one thing. So I started out in family medicine, and from family medicine, I learned a lot about medications. I learned a lot about like different POC testing, so testing that you can actually do in the office, which can leverage you into being able to transfer to your particular specialty that you will like. So like say for instance, like if you are interested in OBGYN, you're able to get that experience in a family practice because we do a lot of like yearly stuff, so like pap smears and all that stuff. You can actually take that experience and take it with you to your specialty. So I started out in family medicine, which I loved. I did that for going on 4 years. I love the providers that I work with. And then during the pandemic, I was actually able to transfer to a remote position working as a patient care coordinator, which basically I was able to work with a lot of like prior auth for medication, which was the experience I've learned in the family practice. So from my family medicine experience, I was able to transfer into pharmacy. And from there, I kind of pretty much did all my medical assistant duties, but I was able to work remote. So that is such an amazing thing with being a medical assistant, is that you have the flexibility based on your experience to work in like different roles and different positions, especially if you are looking for a remote job. So I was able to use my certificate to work in pharmacy. And actually, the amazing thing, I was actually able to, from my pharmacy position, I was actually able to work my way up into being a manager. So there's a lot of benefits on being a medical assistant. Is all about knowing what you want, what the game plan is, and you can definitely leverage your career from just taking the right steps. So, my job today is to actually show you, well, not show you, but tell you some tips and tricks how you can actually work your way up into management from starting as a medical assistant. So I first tip I recommend is starting out in a family practice. Your family practice will allow you to get a lot of hands-on experience, a lot of different experience. Tip 2, when you are going into school, be sure that during your clinical, there's sometimes a school allow you to pick where you want to intern. I don't recommend interning at a specialty because I interned at a specialty and it was very hard to use that experience to get into a family medicine and stuff like that. So when you are in the clinical process of your schooling, be sure to ask your advisor, is it possible you can shadow in a family practice or even an urgent care? Something that you won't be just focusing on one particular specialty. Try to leverage your experience and your hands-on experience as well. Um, Tip number 3 is when you are interviewing, be sure to speak on your experience that you had prior. So if you were in customer service before you became a medical assistant, try to leverage that customer service experience as well, because a lot of the things that they look for is whether or not you do have customer service. And believe it or not, working as a medical assistant, you pretty much are serving customers, is just in this term, you are serving patients. Another thing that I will recommend is making sure that your school is accredited. Please do not go to any mom and pop schools. Actually, research the school. Make sure that it is a accredited school, and also make sure you're looking at the graduation rates and if they offer job placement. If they offer a job placement, you're in the right spot. They're able to help you once you are finished with your clinicals to help you apply for jobs. Tip number, I forgot what tip I am on, but tip number 5, I believe. If you are currently a medical assistant and you're looking to expand your knowledge, you're looking to grow within your career, definitely I recommend trying to get a job in one of these big corporate companies, either working for an insurance company or one of these big companies. I personally do not recommend working for a standalone medical practice, meaning like the doctors are the owners, because it's hard to grow in those kind of settings. Because one, there's either probably somebody that's been there for way longer than you, and they are able to, become an office manager and all that other stuff. So I recommend trying to get a job in one of these big corporate companies. I recommend looking into maybe like um a I'm so sorry. I'm looking into like an insurance company, some of these big companies, based on look in your city, see what big insurance company, or even hospitals. A lot of the hospitals have like separate offices outside of the hospital. So try to look in to those particular positions, because you're able to, one, network with a lot of people. Networking. I'm going to say it again. Networking will be your best friend in trying to leverage your medical assistant certificate without having to go back to school and get a whole degree. Um, and tip number 6, I would say, is making sure that you love what you're doing. And I believe medical assistant is one of those positions where you can work to see if you actually want to be a nurse. And that's one thing I do recommend. If you are thinking about going to jump full force into being a nurse, medical assistant is one of those positions, like if you're not sure whether or not you're going to like nursing, that's like your way of getting your feet wet to actually see if you want to invest in being a nurse. So that's one of the perks of being a medical assistant too. It kind of builds your experience while you're in nursing school to kind of make the nursing school process a little easier. um all right, so that's pretty much all the good stuff about being a medical assistant in my journey. Some of the cons I would say about being a medical assistant is that not all the time you will be appreciated. And by that being said, a lot of the time, some doctors or even some offices will not appreciate what you're doing because to them, you're just a medical assistant. And it sucks because we do a lot as a medical assistant. We're literally close to being an LPN. We just do not have the title of being an LPN. Um, I would say some of the cons too is pay. Depending on where you live, the pay can be very low, but that is where some of the tips I provided to you to be able to leverage up your pay will come in handy. Another con that I would say being a medical assistant is sometimes you can feel stuck in your career because you're not really sure where you would like to go with your career. Um, like you can feel as though like, okay, maybe I should go back to nursing school. Where do I go from here? It can be one of those feelings, but that is when you are in school, network as much as possible. Getting to a family practice and getting into a family practice and getting into a big corporation where you will have a lot more, you have more of the ability to move around. So that is where that will come into play, is if you're kind of at a crossroad in your career, you're able to, one, see if you can become a manager in the practice that you're working at, or two, look into other roles, kind of like what I did. I went from being a medical assistant to patient care coordinator to then manager. And yeah, that is pretty much like sums up. I know I was kind of like rambling and talking so fast, but I wanted to get as much information out as possible. If you are interested in going into more in depth about like what school I went to, how much it costs, what, like how to build your resume and things like that, definitely comment down below. I'm willing to do another video going in depth about what your resume should look like, how to pick a school, the cost of school, even if you have to work while going to school, how you can do all of that. So definitely comment down below if you want more of an in-depth video on those topics. But pretty much today was just a pros and cons of being a medical assistant, and is it really worth becoming a medical assistant in 2025? Is being a medical assistant worth it in 2025? Absolutely. Yes. I believe every female or every male should have something in healthcare. Not saying that you have to become a nurse or move up, like what I mentioned in this video, but it is a very good way to have job security. It's all based on what you do with your certificate after, because to be completely honest, what they're going to teach you in school, and if they do offer job placement, they're not going to show you how to actually leverage your certificate. So I once again say absolutely, absolutely, medical assistant is worth going back to school for. And there's a lot of opportunity in being a medical assistant if you take the right certification. Oh, that's another thing. If you guys want to know like how to pass this, the cert tests and all that stuff, comment down below as well. But yeah, you can move anywhere. You can be a medical assistant anywhere in the United States. So yeah, it's a good way to get your feet wet, especially if you are in a situation right now where you have a job but it's not really giving you the stability that you need. Go to school. 9 months, your life can change. It changed my life. I was able to get my first car, my first apartment. So there's a lot of benefits in being a medical assistant. Don't look down on being a medical assistant, especially if you are in a situation where you kind of need to turn your life around quick. Start out with being a medical assistant. You can always go back to school to being a nurse or any other profession that may take a little bit longer. So I 100% agree. Medical assistant is worth it. So if you enjoyed this video and look forward to seeing more of these kind of videos, more about like my career path and how I got to where I am, definitely like this video, comment down below like I mentioned before, and I hope to see you soon. God bless you. Bye.